What's going on, everybody? It's me, Shane, and I'm here to give you another Hawkeye episode review. No recap this time, but we're just going to talk about what happened in this wonderful episode. Sorry that it's coming so late, but it's the holidays and things happen. Um, but before I tell you a thing about Hawkeye, Clint here would like to ask you to please give me a like, a comment, and a subscribe. It really, really helps out the channel, and we definitely appreciate it. Yes, we do, Clint. We definitely appreciate it. Isn't that right, Clint? Yes, it is. I gotta be honest with you. I like the Funko figures, but their bobbleheads always seem kind of flimsy, and I love bobbleheads. Bobbleheads are supposed to be nicely made, but sometimes I feel like I'm gonna break these things. Yeah. But yeah, if there's any guess about who loves Hawkeye, it's me. For sure. So, what can I say? I am going to run down the major characters of this episode of the day, and on top of that, I'm going to talk about some of the side things, some of the things that I may have missed before. Maybe I should cover that first. I will say, even though I wrote it in my comments for last video, Echo, she's not Asian, although a lot of her aesthetic, especially when she's Ronin, is very Asian based. She's Native American. Maya Lopez is the name. Yes, Lopez is a Native American name as well. Do your research on history. Isn't that right, Hawkeye? So, um, I already mentioned she is the adopted daughter of Kingpin, which is super important. So, instead of me starting with Clint, I'm going to start with Echo because that's how the episode starts. We see when she was a kid, and I give him credit, man. I don't know how you found a Native American girl with the same round, fat face features as the actress who's playing the adult. And I say adult because she was a kid in 2007. And if we fast forward, the Adventure stuff happened in 2012. So that will make her, what, guys, 5 years older. And then in like 2018 is when the Thanos stuff happened in real world. So that's from 12 to 18. That's another 6 years. So she is aged up 11 years by then. And so this is going from grade school to like young adult. I would even say she's around Kate's age. Kate is 22. Kate Bishop is 22. So she has to be in her early 20s. And it's interesting because her family has always been involved in crime. She, from jump, she hates Ronan because Ronan killed her dad. And her dad he was a good dad. He was the love of her life. I did not see that swerve coming. Didn't see it coming at all. Because I kind of figured it's like, oh, she was this little girl in her good family, and then, she got adopted into this crime life. No, she was always part of crime life. As a matter of fact, she is not only deaf, she has a leg missing. She has a metal leg. So she does. I don't know if she had a metal leg when she was a child or somewhere down the line she had lost a leg, but there you go. She had lost a leg, and so she's knows judo. She was able to beat, you know, when it came to this tournament belt thing. This big black kid was just knocking everybody down. She, because she's not listening, she can't hear. She pays attention to footing and everything else like that. Although she's supposed to have the special power of mimicry, being able to do what Cap does, do what Iron Fist does, do what, well, she is doing what Taskmaster does with the copying, do what Hawkeye does. She's supposed to be able to copy. I guess that's kind of showing it. Her father did say she's special, which is why he didn't pay for her to go to a deaf people school, which is pretty interesting if they're leaning into that. I'm saying this episode gives me vibes that I can believe the writer and executive producer, excuse me, don't remember her name, but I can believe her when she said they were going to make this a movie. Because parts of this show feel like a movie, especially today's episode. And there were parts that you can tell, you had to put in for TV time because you can expand on them. Echo is very formidable. As a matter of fact, one of the big pluses of today's episode was the action scene and the chase scene, which literally took up most of the episode. And the episode was only like between 34 to 36 minutes long. It says it's 40 minutes, but it stretches because of the credits. But fantastic. You have Clint who because Echo was able to see that he is hearing impaired, she thought he was deaf. He's like, she's talking to him. I kind of upset that they didn't do a little translation thing when she was talking to him. I don't know if the budget ran out, or maybe not. Maybe, of course, her being young and signing was done at another time, so it was edited differently. But I really wish they would have put that at the bottom so I can know what she's saying. But I guess that sets you up for a guy who I call Fat Face is actually a character. His name's Kazumiri Kazazaki. Just call him Kazi, right? But he matters. I'll get to him in a second. For her to translate, and for him to translate for her, because Clint knows a little bit of sign language, but he doesn't know the whole thing. He's hearing impaired, but he's not fully deaf. And so that kind of lures her into letting his hands free so he can do it, but then his hands are behind his back where he can get himself free. That fight scene was amazing. Like, yeah, I want to transition that into Clint. You know what? I'll do it two parts. We'll do the fight scene, then we'll do the car chase, right? Fight scene was fantastic. This puts respect on Hawkeye's name. I'm sorry, people. If you weren't impressed by him in the first Avengers movie, no look hitting an alien freaking ship that saved Kate Bishop, mind you. Remember the first episode? That no look saved Kate Bishop. If you're not impressed by that, be impressed by the dude who had his hearing aid kicked out by the one-legged deaf girl. Him fighting, not being able to hear, and at the same time doing hand-to-hand shit, and able to grab his, he fell into the room that they stashed his bow and arrow. Him and Kate's bow and arrow, but he was only able to grab his own. The one that flips out that can also become the staff. Dude was doing hand-to-hand stuff. He was taking care of guys with guns. Remember, he can't hear. He's hitting people. He's able to hit Kazi's ear and free Kate at the same time. Tell her follow the signal. And no look, kneeling, hits a guy behind him and plugs him onto the wall. There's a reason why I love Hawkeye. Comic book wise, and MCU. And funny enough, mainline MCU, 616, that Hawkeye is a bit different from our Hawkeye. A bit. He's more, lighthearted. Still a smart ass. He started off as a villain, became a hero, as I mentioned before. This one was a hero that became a villain, that became a hero, or anti-hero. I mean, he was going after criminals as Ronin because, fuck it, why not? And I was like that. And Echo is formidable. I tell you, you should probably find comics where she's still working with Kingpin. She gives Daredevil the beatdown he got in the Netflix show. He gets beatdowns like that a lot. I feel bad for Matt Murdock, honestly. Anyway, let's slide into Kazi. Kazi's actually from the Matt Fraction comic that this whole entire show is based on. Which makes me sad because if they try to do a Hawkeye 2, what else are they going to base it on? He does have great stories, but nothing, in my opinion, nothing kind of compares to this. Ugh. Anyway, Kazi is actually in there. He worked with the Dragon Mafia. I think they're called the Dragon Mafia. Not the Tracksuit Mafia, but here's the crazy part. He is technically the MCU's Joker. His code name is Clown. He wears the face paint. He does the crazy shit. But in the MCU, he also may be Echo's cousin. I say cousin because he mentions uncle, who is her father. That's who he's referring to. Of course, she is headstrong in finding Ronin because she's on a revenge mission. She's already a bad person. Her family was bad people. At first, I felt bad, but then I thought about it. I'm like, they're bad people. And when Hawkeye gives the rundown of her and everything else, saying like, she's the boss of the Tracksuit Mafia, but there's a boss above her, Kate. There's a guy that you don't want to mess with. And he took out a side stash and he killed all the enforcers. That is actually very, very, very canon on how people would handle Kingpin and like early comics before it came out that he is the Kingpin. I do appreciate, and I hope the MCU does this. I appreciate in the comics when Kingpin's dual identity comes out, that Wilson Fisk is tied to this dark stuff, and even when there's concrete evidence, he has these great freaking Donald Trump-ish lawyers. He gets the Johnny Cochrans of Johnny Cochrans to get him out of situations, and sometimes He's in jail, but he's not in jail for a long time. As Peter Parker when he went into jail and beat his ass after he put out a hit on him and Aunt May got shot and put in a coma. Don't mess with Spider-Man. Anyway, Kingpin's the guy you don't want to mess with. We have been alluded to Kingpin. As a matter of fact, we may have seen Kingpin. Her uncle, Echo's uncle, was supposed to be the one to pick her up after the tournament. And we see this hand come down and kind of touch her on her cheek and touch her hand. Big old white hand. I hope it's Vincent D'Onofrio. Oh my God, I hope it's him. He's rest in peace, Michael Clark Duncan. I really wish it's. I hope it's him. His Kingpin was amazing and scary. His Wilson Fisk, man, that's a guy. That's a guy who I want to see Peter Parker lift up by his literal chest skin and just poof, tell him I'll kill you if my aunt dies. Which we are getting 3 more Spider-Man movies. So we're getting another trilogy with him in the MCU. So there is actually time to see that. I hope we get Marissa Tomei shot and Peter Parker is going to go dark and try to beat the hell out of somebody. Please, MCU. Please. Please. Forget the kids. F them kids. Anyway, back to Hawkeye. So, Kazi, maybe he'll become the clown towards the end of this. Maybe, maybe he'll have a flip when he's like, man, I'm actually sick and tired of us having to deal with this Ronin crap because you won't let it go. And it does leave something interesting because they were looking for things that came out of the Avengers compound. They're looking for a watch. Who knows why they're looking for that watch? So that'll probably be addressed in episode 5. So let's transition back up to Clint. So when asked about Ronan, because he's annoyed, he was going to clear Kate's name from having anything to do with this until she crashed in. They're not buying that she has nothing to do with it. All she did was just put on a costume so she wouldn't get recognized. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Hawkeye, Clint, flat out tells her, Ronan's dead. Who killed him? Was it she? I think he said Black Widow. And he says, convenient that the one that killed him is dead, and you're the only one who's. He's like, how do you know? He's like, I was there. Technically, she did kill the Ronin by stopping him from going down that dark path, which is. I wonder if the only ones who knows about that is Natasha, the original Avengers, and Clint's wife. I wonder if Laura actually knows about that. She probably does. And I really do hope Yelena doesn't kill Clint at the end of this series. She has slated, Florence Pugh has slated to be in this show. I'm going to be very pissed if the last thing I see in Hawkeye is him getting a bullet in him. And I actually like Yelena, so please don't piss me off. Please don't. Anyway, he's amazing in this. He lied about Trick Arrow, about there not being Trick Arrows. That's actually Trick Arrows. He even gives Kate props when he can't hear. And he's doing the best thing he can. I love the fact he's a classic car lover because she wants to steal the hot rod. He's like, I am not trashing a 72 Charger, which ends up getting trashed anyway because they use it to chase him. He steals the Buick. I love that was a red herring, that they never really took the sports car, that they took the stupid Buick. It's also great to know how Clint sees the Ronin character. Sees Ronin's dead. There's no more Ronin. But he's paying for the sins of his past. As a matter of fact, when he's talking to Kate about himself, again, it's about branding, he's like, I'm not a role model. And he also says, the life you want to lead, you want to help people. Sometimes you have to give up something. Like, he's kind of sort of giving up his holiday. He's kind of sort of giving up, he's going to be late for Christmas. Might not actually make it to Christmas. And that was a very touching scene where he can't hear his son on the phone, and Kate has to kind of relay the message by writing pretty fast. She writes really good for someone writing really fast. Where am I at here? And let's talk about Kate. Man, she's actually really good with a bow and arrow, especially when Clint is just tutoring her. They make a really, really good team. The fact that he's just telling her, can't use this one, don't use this arrow. I'm gonna get into trick arrows in a minute. She, he told her, hit the key highlight scene of this chase scene is to just shoot the arrow right in the air. Just shoot it straight up. He has a Pym arrow that makes it grow big and it just stops them in their tracks. He stops from crashing into a family. He stopped them from wanting to ram them that will hurt more people. But she's really good at what she does. She finds the mark and she hits the mark. And he's really good at coaching. He did a similar thing that he did with Wanda back on Sokovia and Age of Ultron. We told her, hey, now's not the time to be scared. Gather yourself together. Pay attention to my mark when I give it to you. Use your wits, and we'll get out of here alive. They are a really, really damn good team. Also, I think he may have blocked her. Hope he didn't when she made the joke. Good name, good job. Your name is Hawkeye and not Hawk Ear, which is pretty damn funny. And they have a little doctor in the neighborhood that fixes things all for cash. That's wow. Every superhero really needs that. Every vigilante superhero needs that. Already mentioned Kazi. Trick arrows. This man had goop arrows, which he calls them putty arrows. He told her to aim those at the wheels, but goop arrows, acid arrows, gas arrows. He had a plunger arrow, which actually is the same arrow that he uses for the for his little pole vaulting thing. When he told her, "We're gonna jump off of here, hang on to me," he had to go back and grab that arrow. Still had the USB arrow, which is useless. She was using it to bluff. That thing hung on the side, and they were able to swing through and get on the train. Um, Pym arrow, which is a stand-in for a thing he did in the comics. I think it was in Secret Invasion, and he also does it in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, where he shoots Ant-Man, who is hanging on to the arrow, who grows big and beats your ass. So it's a stand-in for that, which I believe they actually did it in Civil War. They did do it in Civil War. I want to see that in another movie, please. What is another thing? What's another arrow? Kind of sad there wasn't no boxing glove arrow. I know that's a green arrow kind of thing. I still kind of want to see it because they both have that arrow. Explosive arrows, obviously. But yeah, trick arrows were fun and great to see that he actually still has them. I wonder who is making them for him, or has he always made his own? That's a thing to think about. Um, One of the things I didn't mention, guys, their hideout, because they have to run now because it's compromised. Their hideout is a KB toy store. If you're a kid from the late 80s, mid 80s, late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s, you know the joys of KB Toy Store. Especially for my people who are in the Chicagoland area. Oh my god, KB Toy Store. But funny thing is, this abandoned KB Toy Store kind of looked like the warehouse that the Santa Clauses were using in Jingle All the Way. Had that same look and that same vibe. Also looked like the rundown supermarket in Loki in one of those disaster timelines. Hmm. I wonder. Is there anything else? Kate. Kate draws a costume for Hawkeye because again, she believes it's all branding. Now his job, he says my job for the last 10 years. No, he said last 20 years. Damn you old. For the last 20 years was to be a ghost, which literally he was. He was a spy working for S.H.I.E.L.D. His job is to be not unseen, which is probably why he's great with the bow and arrow. Um, and she says, no, it's literally branding. And she draws out the original Hawkeye costume from those old 60s and 70s. Actually, he's used that costume all the way up until the 2000s. And actually, you can see that costume in Earth's Mightiest Heroes. It's on Disney Plus. Best Avengers cartoon by far. Please watch it. Um, and it has the little H on it. She's like, what is that? It's the wings for the eyes and the H because he's Hawkeye. He's like, no way in hell I'm wearing it because one, my wife would divorce me if I wore something like that. Uh, Two, he's not supposed. His whole thing is not being seen. And three, He's not a role model, but he still doesn't realize. And I'm wondering when Kate. I really hope Kate doesn't break this down in episode 5 or 6. I hope she flat out says, "You saved me in the Battle of New York. You literally saved me from being killed by aliens. You are an inspiration to me." Which I'm surprised he probably knows this, but it hasn't caught on yet. Which, look at this figure; it has a little knife on the side. Huh. But I don't know why he hasn't caught on to that yet. He had a really decent costume in Age of Ultron. Like that was very comics accurate. He is definitely a mix of 616 and 1610, the Ultimates. He's supposed to be Ultimate Hawkeye, but he's he's a decent mix in my opinion. And I'm also wearing the shirt because Hawkeye is right here, right next to the top. Hey, actually, that's the costume that she drew. That's the costume she drew right there. Look at that. I do have visual representation for you guys. Anyway, for the 10 of you that are probably watching this, self burn. Um, is there anything else on this list of notes that I have that I want to mention? I forgot to talk about Swordsman. A thing I didn't mention last week. Swordsman, Jack Duquette, is actually also Hawkeye's, what's the word I'm looking for? Guy who taught him everything he knew in the circus. And Swordsman is technically a hero. I guess you can say anti-hero. He's never really been a bad guy. But he's never really been goody goody good guy. I highly doubt that Clint knows him. But hey, the end of this episode concluded with Jack being at Kate's mom's home, the home that her grandfather built that building. So, being he was there when no one's supposed to be there, he puts the blade to Hawkeye's throat. Now, here's the crazy part. I feel like it's a red herring to think that he actually killed his great uncle. I honestly think it was Eleanor. I think she's the one that killed him because Eleanor is already a villain in the comics. Kevin Feige likes for things to be simple. I would not be surprised if there's a type of red herring thing, and she knew about what was going on down there because she procured everything, but didn't want anybody to know. And she probably is working directly underneath Kingpin. I would not be any bit surprised about that. And this is just me making my predictions right now. I wish I would have did this earlier because I was pretty damn hyped about just the whole action. It felt so right. It took so long for us to get here, and it's sad. And it would have been so nice to see Clint do this with Natasha. Like, not just the first Avengers movie stuff. I mean, hell, they didn't even have Clint in Winter Soldier, which is just awful. That's so awful. It would have been very nice. I wish the Black Widow movie would have been that whole thing on how she got with Clint. Then you could have Black Widow 2 that did the Yelena thing. Just, I'm just saying. But yeah, this is it. I think did I give the combined episodes last week a 4 out of 5. I don't remember. I'm definitely giving this a 4 out of 5 because that chase scene, the chase scene and the fight scene was fantastic. It was very well done. There wasn't any slow moving punches and things. No, everything moved very fast and very well. As a matter of fact, Kate is funny. Someone keeps asking why she won't shut up. She would be the perfect person to team up with Tom Holland Spider-Man by far. Um, she actually helps another gangster who got Imagine Dragon tickets, and he actually likes Imagine Dragons, but his wife is trying to punish him. The comedy hits when it needs to hit. The heartwarming moments are amazing. Pizza Dog's name is literally Pizza Dog because he likes the name. Kate and Clint, they're more in sync than Clint wants to even admit it. And I'm hoping in this next episode with this whole Jack issue, and I actually really do secretly hope Jack and Clint actually know each other. And like they have a side conversation. Um, Another thing that you all probably don't know, Clint Barton has an older brother named Charles Barney Barton, who does the same thing. He goes by the name Trick Shot. And Trick Shot was also a Dark Avenger as well as a Thunderbolt. I'm hoping that Trick Shot shows up. Please do not turn Hawkeye into Trick Shot. Please don't. But with the promotional videos, with the promotional uh, posters showing Clint and Kate in costume, I'm pretty sure we're going to get a nice costume at the end of this. Only difference about Kate's costume, Kate Bishop has always had like her hips exposed, which brings a kind of elegance and sexiness to the character because she comes from high class, and if you know about high fashion XYZ, I'm gonna guess that Marvel took those away because I don't know. Is it a Disney thing? Really? Probably. Honestly, honestly, who gives a damn? I don't really care at all that much. I just like that a wonderful actress is playing a character that I actually care about. But please, 4 out of 5 for me. I'm being straight up. It's biased because I got trick arrows, I got car chasing, I got Deaf Clint being able to reverse a car and drive backwards so she can aim properly. Mm-mm. I got all the stuff I wanted, and we got to see the origin story of Echo, which didn't even take a whole movie. That is why this has become a TV show. Because if this was a movie, it would have just been, oh, he killed my family. Backstory for this 2 hour movie that should be an hour and 30 minutes. Meh. I'm happy. 4 out of 5. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. Right after you hit that like button and right after you subscribe if you're new here. But if you aren't new here, please make sure you hit the notification bell. And after you hit the notification bell, share this video so other people can hear a Marvelite, that's the proper name, Marvelite, or a Marvel fan, talk about these things. I actually want to hear from different people. I enjoy talking to some of my friends who are actually older than me, who were around for the 70s comics and all the 80s runs and remember a lot of the old stuff. I like hearing their takes on things. It's very not I wouldn't say refreshing, but it's enjoyable. I really enjoy hearing what people think about these things, even if you disagree with me. So, as always, I appreciate you guys taking time out to spend time with me. Please be good, be blessed, wash your hands, wear a mask, be safe out there, y'all. Just be aware, pay attention to your surroundings, be good to yourself, be good to others. Either way it goes, don't be a jerk. And I will definitely see you next time with Clint and Clint. Have a good one, y'all.